Welcome back. I'm happy to have you, and I'm really excited about talking about your evolution of your coaching program
Okay.
because let's talk a little bit first about where you started, in the book that you did and how you got to this point, and then we'll get into actually what the evolution is.
Okay, sounds good. Coaching actually goes back years in my entire career because that's what I did when I was in the radio business. I spent 35 years there on the business side as a salesman and primarily sales manager. And one of my first emails that I had for a long time, email addresses, was radio coach at yahoo.com, right? So I mean, I've always looked at that as coaching, but that was very one dimensional. I mean, you're coaching a very specific thing to a very specific type of person, somebody that worked for you as a salesman, right? And so then I got out of radio business, and I was looking for what I wanted to do with the rest of my life. I've always wanted to be a writer, always wanted to be a speaker. Did a lot of speaking for business stuff in the radio business, but never as just what I call an overall type of speaker. And so I was sitting around one day and I was looking at stuff and coaching stuff kind of started coming to me over the internet. It's weird. And I kind of pursued it and followed up on it, got certified as a dream builder coach through Mary Morrissey, and then started developing my own material. And then, as you know, Cliff, in that whole time frame, I had lost my first wife to cancer, and so I ended up writing a book about it, called Transforming Your Life After Loss, which you helped me publish and help me. It's an awesome book, not only the content but the look of it and the shape and the feel and all that. And so then what I started doing is I started thinking, because I was thinking initially that's what I was going to coach, is coach people through loss and grief. And I got to thinking after I wrote the book, it struck me actually that that's just a very small portion of it. Everybody's going to suffer with that. Everybody's going to deal with loss. Everybody's going to deal with grief, but that is finite, and you can get through that. And by the way, here's a shameless plug. The book tells you exactly how to do that. Right. But at the same time, it's also part of creating a life that you really want. And so then I kind of shifted my focus to that. And that's kind of where I've come up with the blueprint of the foundation, the mezzanine and the penthouse in terms of coaching. I've got 6 or 7 talks written. I'm working on with your help, working on a video course called The Blueprint, stuff like that. So that's kind of how it all evolved. And I've worked with a lot of people and used these principles and concepts and ideas that I talk about, as well as some new ones I picked up along the way, not only in my life, okay, but in the lives of other people and people that I've worked with in the past, very successfully, by the way. So that's kind of where came from.
That's awesome. Let's talk before we get into actually what you do.
Yeah.
Let's talk about who you help, because obviously your coaching essentially somewhat came out of grief, right? I mean, that's where the foundation of it came from, right?
Yeah.
Evolved since then. And so who do you best serve? Who are people that are best served by your coaching programs?
That's what they always say in coaching, is they always coach you to find a niche, right? And to find a very specific narrow path. Mine isn't that way. Mine's pretty broad. Mine is because I tried to find that niche, and that's where I thought the grief and loss was going to come in. But I was actually coaching before that, and that kind of thing, for a lot of years. And so what I determined is that people that are not happy, they're not satisfied, they wake up and they know there's something more for them. They just don't know what it is or how to get it. They know they're meant for more. These are all feelings I had, and these are the feelings that were satisfied when I started getting into the coaching world and started developing my content and everything else in my courses and that kind of thing. So I would say anybody who, it's easy to say, yeah, I want to live a life I really want, because that's kind of my buzz phrase, right? Living a life you really want. But you got to kind of get to that point. And some people think they're living the lives they want because they've met all their goals, right? Maybe college, a career, family, whatever it is. But maybe deep down, there's a sense of dissatisfaction. I would say anybody that's got that sense of dissatisfaction inside of them, and you know it, if you feel it, sometimes you wake up in the middle of the night and you think, oh, wow, I can do all this on my own. And you wake up and you go, maybe I can't, and that kind of thing. Or is there more for me out there? Or am I meant for more? Or I know I'm meant for more. I use the phrase, I steal it from my sister, when you know that you know that you know. And when somebody has that feeling, then I'd say that's who I'm available to work with. Somebody that wants to get somewhere but doesn't know how to get there either. Also, because I work with certain steps and principles and concepts to get them from point A to point B.
Right. And I think also too, I want to make the point that it's not only
Sure.
people that have had success, right, at a high level, but
Sure.
I think because I've seen it, people that are just kind of starting out, that are in that, are in that phase where they want more, but they don't know exactly what they want because they're new and there may be a whole different area from what they think they want. Actually, somebody comes to mind. I think it was one of your coaching students. You were doing a test pilot program.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm talking about? Why don't you talk about his story a little bit?
I will. Yeah, thanks. And he's a great guy. And I've met him through a different coaching platform that I'm one of my own personal coaches, actually. And we were in group coaching together, and we kind of formed a friendship, and we're talking. And he was frustrated because he knew he had things he wanted to do, but he didn't know how to get them done. He didn't know how to get there, And what it really boiled down to, Cliff, is the fact that what he thought he wanted, he wasn't willing to commit to. So we had to figure out what he really did want, which he did by going through the foundation, which was the beta test that I did with my initial coaching course. And he found out what he wanted. He determined to go after it. And one of the things he wanted to do was to become a coach. And shortly after going through the foundation, he got his first paid client, and he's off and running. So, and he's ecstatic. He's happy. He says, "I've been working on this for years and years, and felt like I've been stuck, kind of like moving through molasses." Those are my words, not his. But that was the concept. And after going through the foundation, then he actually did it. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, and I love the phrase "moving through molasses" because I think it's what a lot of people are doing. They don't know what's holding them back, and the idea that he thought he knew what he wanted, but he wasn't willing to commit to it. So maybe it wasn't really what he wanted because he wasn't really willing to commit.
Yeah, that's it. And that's one of the things we do in the foundation is we do a deep dive into what you really want, and we test that. Because there's a way to test what you really want to see if it is what you really want. Because if you think you want it, and a lot of people think they have wants, right? I mean, I want this, I want that, I want a Lamborghini, right? But I don't know. Maybe I don't want a Lamborghini. I don't know, Cliff. They sit too low to the ground. But anyway, maybe I do want a Lamborghini. Who knows? But
you want a Lamborghini SUV.
There you go. Lamborghini. I'm not sure. Maybe. Anyway, I'd probably be afraid to drive it out in the country. I don't want to ding it up. But yeah, maybe you want something, but there's two ways to want something. You can want it, or you can want it bad enough to go out and do something about it. That's how I've always phrased it. And people that speaks to being willing to have it. And he's a young guy just getting started, essentially in his life and his career. And he's well on his way, and I know he'll do great things. I have another client that I worked with before I ever was formally coaching, who had it all. He was the CEO of a major company. It was worth $275 million. He lost it. And then he lost everything else on top of it, lost his home, lost his marriage. He lost everything. And he and I worked together for a couple, 3 years. And essentially, he had some very dark moments, and it's on my website, the testimonial about him. But he actually came to a point of wanting to self-harm. And he and I talked 2 or 3 different times but he would call me. Okay. Which kudos to him. He called me, he reached out. And because of that, he did not, and he gives me credit for that, but I give him credit for that because that's all, it's his. So, I mean, it can go from something as simple as a career-based thing to something as big and as deep as literally someone's life, so I mean, and everything in between. I mean, it's a big deal.
Sure. You mentioned the foundation a few times, so let's get into it because we know the foundation is the foundation or the starting point of your whole coaching program. So let's talk about what the foundation is.
The foundation is the essential course. I mean, it's the very first thing that we do. Actually, it's the second thing we do. We have one that I'm working on called the Blueprint, and it's going to be a 7 video series. It's going to be kind of a short course, right? And it won't be me personally but it is me personally coaching you, but it's recorded, so it's not interactive. The foundation, on the other hand, is going to be very interactive, and it's multiple weeks, and we go through probably an hour and a half for each session to 2 hours. I try to keep them to about 90 minutes. And what we do is I have a whole, it's very structured, and we take you through I take you through 7 different modules, basically, or 8 different modules. I forget exactly how many now. And we go through everything. And by the time you get through the foundation, you will start to experience results, probably like this student of mine did. If not, at that point, you will be set up to go to the next level called the mezzanine. I do everything in kind of a building term. So there's the foundation, the mezzanine, and the penthouse. Okay. And the mezzanine is where we start talking about dreams and visioning and how to make that reality, and the importance of that, and what that, and how to make that actually apply to your life, and make it real. Then the penthouse is where the manifestation part comes into the actual, you start to actually experience and see everything you've been working for and that kind of thing. It's not magic. It's not woo woo. It's none of that, but it is structured. Everything I teach, I do in what I call stackable levels. So the foundation designed to build on top of the blueprint, the mezzanine on top of the foundation, the penthouse on top of the mezzanine, and so on and so forth. And then I do have a standalone coaching course called Lost Summer, and that's coaching through loss and grief, because that's an important thing too, but there's no prerequisite for that. The prerequisite for my coaching is first of all the foundation, then the mezzanine, then the penthouse. We can't jump to the penthouse from the ground floor, because you just can't get there, and you'll probably fall if you try to do that. So it's very structured, and that's intentional. Probably partly to do with my personality.
Sure. No, understandable. And people have their levels, just like anything else. You get a certain skill level or awareness or knowledge of terms and phrases or whatever, and you go to the next level. Let's back up a little bit, because we kind of jumped over it, because it's more of like an introductory to you, and if the people want to go. But talk a little bit about the blueprint, what it is. I know it's in development, but what is the blueprint?
The blueprint is basically it's the pre-introductory course, maybe is a better way to say that. And I kind of worked backwards from all of it. I kind of started where I wanted to take people, and then kind of reverse engineered that to where I should start with them, right? And you helped me with this, because the blueprint was actually, I'm going to give you credit here. It's actually your idea, the name of it, and the concept of the course. The content is this: it's 7 videos, and the first 2 videos are called "What Do I Do Now?" Part 1 and Part 2, right? Because that's what everybody wants to know. What do I do? Okay, well, that speaks to exactly what you do now. Part 1, Part 2. The third video is called "Getting Comfortable Being Uncomfortable," which is such an important skill set. I write about a chapter about that in my book as well. Number 4 is called "Being Expansive versus Being Contracted and Restrictive." That's important. Number 5 is called "Speaking It Out," declaring your intentions. Number 6 is "Making a Vision Real," the power of a vision board. I talk about that in detail and specifically. And number 7 is reciprocity. It's about sowing and reaping, and what you can expect to return once you start sowing and planting these seeds and that kind of thing. Seed time and harvest is another way to say that, And so that's the blueprint. And it'll be a very affordable course, and it'll be one that people can access anywhere, because it is on video. It's not live. But I think it's cool. I like it. I'm almost ready to start recording the videos. It's getting close.
Which is great, because I think it's choosing your coach is an important thing.
Yes.
No matter what the content is, I think there has to be some connection to the coach. And I think a course like the Blueprint is a great way for people to become familiar with your methodology, what your thinking process is. Even though it isn't direct engagement, they're engaging with you.
Yeah.
And so I think it's a fantastic way that people can find out more, and then go, yeah, this is definitely what I want to do. I want to go next to the foundation, and it's a great way to get started.
Well, my sense is this. In fact, it's more than my sense. It's what I know. I know that if they take the content in the 7 videos, right, and they actually embrace it and start adopting it and start building it into their lives, they're going to get results. Because, Cliff, here's the thing. I'm about results, not rhetoric. Okay. There's a lot of coaches out there. There's a lot of people out there, and all they do is talk, right? Talk. I'm not one of those. I mean, I talk a lot, yes, because I'm very wordy. But at the same time, I'm all about results, because when I was looking for people to speak into my life or to help me get from where I wanted to be to where I wanted to go, I looked for people who had results, okay, or had gotten results for others. And if somebody couldn't show me that or couldn't sit down with me and tell me that, I had no interest. I moved on and tried to find somebody else, or I did it myself, right? The problem is when you try to do it yourself is you don't know what you don't know. And
Right.
so it's that struggle, right? So the blueprint is basically kind of it's kind of the roadmap, I guess. And there's one before that. If I can talk about the 7 practices, it's my giveaway. Okay. And it's a PDF, and I will trade you your email address for the PDF. That's all I want. And because I send out what I call an almost weekly, almost daily email. I'll get it today at some point. It's not there yet, but I'll get it there. And basically, I talk about different things, different subjects, different concepts, principles, that kind of stuff. But the 7 practices are a PDF, and they kind of are the roadmap to the blueprint and to the creating the life you really want. The 7 practices are: number 1, decide. Number 2, make your main thing the main thing. Number 3, to create it, dream it. Number 4, believe. Number 5, be willing. Number 6, develop a victory, not a victim approach. And number 7, live by and with intention. And that's, I mean, if they just take that right there, it'll change their life, because it's changed mine and changed other people's. So, I mean,
Which is, well, it's great because people, no matter where somebody is,
yeah,
where they're ready to start, you have all the different options for people to get started, right? Whether, somebody might be ready just to foundation. They want to start coaching with you. They're
absolutely
ready to go. They've read some of your emails, things like that. Other people are like, I'm not sure if this is for me, but I'm interested.
Yeah.
But like, they're not ready to commit, right?
Right.
They're more in an information gathering stage. So
Sure.
It's fantastic that you're able to create something in all the different buckets, no matter what bucket that person is carrying at the time. Yeah.
And let me just add this, if I may. I'm also willing to have a phone call and talk with anybody. I mean, if you think if somebody thinks that they're ready, or they're not sure, or they're gathering information, they want to know more, pick up the phone or schedule a call. Don't pick up, because I might not answer, but because I do try to work on a calendar.
Let them schedule the call with you. That'll be
yeah. But they're certainly welcome to schedule a call with me. It's low pressure. It's no pressure. What I'll do in that call, just so people know, is I will just kind of ask questions and explore where they are, number 1, and number 2, where they want to go. And then visit with them about what their plan is to get there and what they're thinking and that kind of thing. It's not a sales call. Okay. That one is not, that's more of an exploration. I call it a roadmap call. I probably need to come up with a better name, but that's what I call it, Cliff. I mean, some people call them, what do they call them? Discovery calls, kind of that kind of thing. I mean, but that's basically what it is. It's kind of them getting to know me and me getting to know them. And by the time that call is over, both of us will have a pretty good idea of whether we're going to be good to work together or not. Right. And then I follow up the first call with a secondary call. And that's when I tell them what their options are and kind of explain to them and give them pricing and all that kind of stuff.
Right. It's almost like a where we're at call.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, where we're at.
Where they're at, where you're at, and all that type of thing. Where we're at and where we're going. That's what those are. So let's talk a little about how intensive let's say the foundation is, because some people shy away from some of this stuff because they're all busy and everybody's busy and they have no time, and so they're like, maybe this is something I want to do, but I don't know how I'm going to commit, or if there's homework, or a lot of people just want to watch videos and think it's going to change, but there actually is some work to be done.
Yeah, and the foundation, there's not as much homework. In fact, there's very little homework. Okay, what I tell people is, and by the way, I do not like the term accountability partner. Okay, in fact, I run from that, because I don't want when I think of the words accountability partner, I think it's somebody that wants to get their nose in my business. I don't want that, man. I don't need that, and so I'm not going to be an accountability partner for someone. That's not my role. My role is more as an instructor and a guide. And I walk beside people. I don't walk behind them and push them, and I don't walk in front of them and pull them. Okay, I walk beside people, and if there's a road, then if there's a pothole or something in the path of the road, I can see. I know, because I've been down the path several times. I can point that out and help them avoid that and that kind of thing, right? And then allow them to do the work that they want to do with it. Because here's the thing: you can't make somebody do something they don't want to do, right? Number 1. Number 2, if you try, it's never going to work. It's always going to be a fail. The person has to be able to commit to it within themselves. And we talk about commitment in the foundation and what that looks like and what that means and what that is. But yeah, no, there's not going to be a bunch of homework that you can make. It's actually, I'm trying to remember how many sessions it actually is. It's on the website, the description on the website. You guys can go there and look it up under the coaching tab. There's a whole deep explanation of it. but it's multiple weeks.
There's 8 sessions.
8 sessions. Thank you, Cliff. There's 8 sessions. So it's 8 weeks. We do 90 minutes, right? We do it through Zoom. And then so again, one stacks on top of the other, right? And it goes up. And then after the sessions are over, I like to ask for feedback. And, if it was helpful for somebody, I like to ask for testimonials and that kind of thing too. So
Sure. Super.
yeah.
Do you find that when somebody does the foundation that they're like they want to move on? I mean, because some people, I mean, that's just because they're ready for the next.
Primarily because it's the foundation. I mean, they're gonna, like my client, they may experience results during that time, right? And that's up to them. And it really is, but at the same time, it's the foundation. It's the building block, right? It's the basic stuff, right? It's the preparation for the next step, which is the preparation for the next step, And so, what I find is that people they want more. They do want to move on. In fact, I've had people that went through the beta foundation said, I mean, the words are, and they're on the website. I want more, because they do.
Right. Well, let's talk a little bit about hesitation with people actually taking the next step, because like you said, when we started out, a lot of people are like, I know I need to do something. I want more. I don't know what to do. I'm walking through molasses or whatever.
Yeah.
But there's a hesitation. And so how do people identify that, overcome that? What do they do? What do they do without having to commit? Let's talk about that hesitation.
People change for one of two reasons, right? They change either the first one of the reasons they change is because they see the potential, the possibility for gain, right? And the other reason they change is because they're desperate. They've hit rock bottom. They don't know what else to do. Interestingly enough, most people don't change because of the potential for gain that they see, right? They change because they are at rock bottom. And when I say rock bottom, I don't mean, it could be, I guess, but I don't mean that they're desperate and that what I mean by that is they've had enough. They've reached a point within themselves where, okay, I've had enough. What I've been doing has not been working. It isn't going to work. It's Einstein's definition of insanity, right? Do the same thing over and over and get the same results, or you're not going to get different results if you keep doing the same stuff. There's kind of like programming a computer, bad stuff in, bad stuff out. But the whole point is, when they understand that, they have to come to that understanding within themselves. And when they do, that's when they make a move. That's when they change. Now, I won't say that not everybody doesn't do it for potential for gain. Some do, but those are rare. Those are rare people. And oftentimes what I've found is people that do make a change because they see a potential for gain sometimes don't follow through with all of it, because they just don't have that inner fire, that inner desire. And that's a key point. They got to have that, So I don't try to force anybody. I don't try to look, I'm a master at selling. I've taught it for 35 years. I know how to sell. I know how to close. I know how to do all that. I don't do any of that with people because this isn't about selling. This is about helping people get from where they are to where they want to be, to creating that life they really want. Again, Cliff, it's about results, not rhetoric.
Right. And I kind of look at it from this point. It's kind of like they want to take a trip up to the mountain and they need a guide, and they know they need a guide. And so it's just a matter of what kind of guide do they want and what does that guide offer? And so that's really one of those things. And then at the same time, does the guide want to take these people up? So
exactly.
It's really a conversation to see if it's a fit, and do they really want to go up the mountain? Are they they're willing to do some of this stuff? So that was actually my next question about the fact is there's no pressure, and there's not. I know I've seen you deal with people, and you're like, look, this is something either we're going to do together or we're not, and if not, you're perfectly fine with it. And
yeah. Because here's what happens too: is some people are at a point where they think they want to do it, but they're not quite ready to do it, and so they don't, right? And maybe 6 months later, maybe a year later, maybe 3 days later, or whatever, it doesn't matter. The time doesn't matter. They get to that point, and then when they do, they know they have me as a resource in their hip pocket, and they can always pick up the phone and call or text or email or whatever, and we can pick up where we left off essentially. So, I mean, I'm always there. That's the other thing too, and that I think that's important. You spoke about a guide, and I think that's important because a guide that I'm going to look for personally and that I want other people to look for is
Mm-hmm.
somebody that's been there, done it, and burned the t-shirt, right? So
Right.
I talk about creating a life I really want, right? And I don't just talk about that, I live it. That's what I'm doing right now. I'm living the life I really want, okay? And I've been through the fire, man. I mean, go read my about page. I won't get into all of it here, but go read my about page on my website, and you'll see, everything from health crises to losing people to, I mean, I spent 2 summers with people who were very close to me that were in hospice, and they both ended up dying, and that's why I call the grief coach, the loss and grief coaching, lost summer. It's not about my lost summer. It's about the fact that these two people lost their lives, and summer was their favorite season.
Right.
So I mean, so it kind of gives me chills just as I'm speaking about it or thinking about it here. But I mean, so I have been there, I have done it, and I have burned the t-shirt, and I can help other people find a way too. But it's not my life, okay? It's showing them how to create the life that they want. And everybody's gonna be unique. It's all gonna be different. There's no cookie cutter stuff here. I mean, yes, there are certain exercises, there are certain principles, concepts, and ideas that we go through and that people will take and then they'll take ownership of, but it produces different results every time because
Right.
everybody's different and everybody's life is different, right? And so I
Right.
think that's important to understand. I don't want a little army of robots out there or automatons. That's not it. Independent thinkers.
Independent thinkers, everybody's different. Everybody
Yeah.
has a different want or need or path or whatever. So,
Yeah.
all right. Well, if this has been good, give me your last words on hey, you know what? If somebody sees this, they're interested. What should they do? What's the best way to get a hold of you?
Reach out, call me, text me, email me. It doesn't make any difference. All the information is on my website, the contact page. The website address is Craft Method Coaching. Craft Method Coaching. John at craftmethodcoaching.com. That's my email address. The website is Craft Method Group or craftmethodcoaching.com. They're interchangeable. Have them reach out there. They can go there, and we can certainly start the process.
Awesome. All right. As always, it's always been informative and I'm excited. And people, they need to go to your about page because it's just so amazing. And then I think that they need to engage you from whatever level they're at, from the blueprint to the giveaway to starting to build that
Yep.
life they really want and get in with the foundation. So as always, thank you, John.
Thanks, Cliff. I appreciate it.